The hardest part of crypto isn't buying your altcoins, okay? You can go on CoinMarketCap right now and pick any altcoin apart from Bitcoin and Ethereum at 5 to 10 extra money. It's not holding and waiting through times of volatility while we might be tried and tested during these times. The hardest part, I think by far, is actually selling your altcoins. Now, most people neglect this. You might even be on this video right now thinking to yourself, this is boring, but I applaud you for sitting through it anyway, because 95 to 97% of people lose money in crypto. And I am of the very firm belief that these people neglect selling their altcoins. So in this video, I've got a very comprehensive yet simplistic way to allow you to actually go ahead each altcoin and set these sell levels up, but importantly, do so in the correct way. Please pay attention. This is only going to benefit one person, and that's the person that is watching this video right now all the way through. Do not forget, free material in this video will be only available for the next week. This is why it's so important you guys subscribe. However, if it's past a week and you're watching this video sometime beyond about the 27th of August, 2024, you got good news. Private community, join up, level 1 and above, you'll have access to this and more anyway. Now, I know in some jurisdictions around the world, you guys struggle with finding an exchange in order to actually put your crypto on to even set up these sell levels to begin with, right? And so I've partnered with CoinW. These guys are a no KYC exchange. Very hard to find a non-KYC exchange in crypto. Use the first link down below to sign up. We're doing a 20-day contest right now where you can win fair chunk of change, USDT and PYTH token airdrops as well. All you got to do is just simply trade. Read the T's and C's below, sign up using my link, and guys, we're going to do more than one competition over there at CoinW, so make sure you're in, and I think every little bit of money is going to help, especially using an exchange in general that's going to allow you to actually put in the sell levels and not require a whole bunch of, let's just say, mucking around, to say it in a nice way. So to start off here, I have to explain to you some of my reasoning behind an exit plan to begin with, right? Because I know a lot of you probably are coming into this thinking that it's very easy, right? You might have one of two sort of preconceived notions in your mind. One is just, I'm going to sell all at one level. That's very dangerous, and I wouldn't recommend non-financially. Anyone just goes, I'm going to try to time the exact sell level that I want to get out at, and that's it. Dangerous. We want to actually have levels in which we're selling and staggering as the price goes up. This is going to allow us to, worst case, make some money, and at best case, do it in the best, safest possible way. On the other side of things, we do have people like friends, family. Maybe you initially had this thought in your mind and definitely pushed by other, let's just say key opinion leaders, right? Influencers in the space where they just say, hey, have 4 or 3 sell levels and just sell them randomly, wherever you feel like roughly makes sense. Okay, 25% of your portfolio in each way. Now that can work out, but a lot of the time you guys are listening to this and just throwing in 4 random sell levels, right? If this is where we're pretty much looking to sell our crypto right here, okay, and this analogy, this boat with the water will make sense here in a second, don't worry, but let's assume right now that this green line is our target sell price, whatever that may be, and you decide to sell one level here. This is level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. So 2 levels beneath your target sell price, and obviously 2 levels above. If you're going to have 50-50 above the line and below the line, that's going to work out to have the average sell price. Well, you might actually not, unbeknownst to you, not sell at the intended price because these levels here are much lower than or closer to the sell target price than these. These are weighing you down, which means you may actually end up selling, let's just say, rather than selling at a price of $2 over here, you might end up selling at $1, let's just say $1.75, which means that you don't make as much money, and now you're exposed to risk because you're going to see and know, okay, I need $100,000 revenue for this coin to achieve my goal. I need, let's say this is PYTH, to have $100,000 in my account before I sell. You won't see that happen. You'll say, hang on a second, some of these sell levels are hitting, or all of these sell levels hit. Why have I not got the right amount of cash in my account? Well, it's because you're not doing what I'm going to show you in today's video. So this is why, and I'll explain this analogy for you all now so you're not scratching your head confused. Why does it have a boat with water and an anchor on the screen? I like to do something like this. This is what I teach in my private community and, of course, the one-on-one clients and all the rest of it. The best way to describe how you should really look to sell is a boat sitting on the water with an anchor. Now, the boat, of course, in comparison to the ocean, this is not to scale, obviously, is a small little fraction, a little blob on top of the ocean where usually the anchor sits right at the bottom. And if you were to pull these both down and find the scale, so a little speck massive, massive, massive deep ocean, okay? And that's kind of what we want to look at when we're selling. The waterline itself is the target sell price. That's the waterline, okay? Now, you want to sell as many levels as you can beneath it, but usually you want to have about 50 or less % sold at these levels. So around 50 or usually less at these levels, okay? Now, you want to sell like a boat, like a little blop on top of the ocean, as few sell levels as close to the waterline as possible, anything above this. Now, when you think about it, while you might even have to have 65, which often does have to happen in many cases, % of your portfolio sold above the sell level itself. Let's say you're looking for, again, $2 sell level. You might have to sell a majority of your portfolio above that. But because the sell levels above that point are pretty much almost at that exact level itself, and they're not stretched like we saw before in the example of what you might think an influencer or you might initially have in the back of your mind thinking a good sell plan actually is. And what I mean by that is selling, for example, maybe the first sell level here, maybe $1 above this. Okay, so this might be $3 and this might be $4. I mean, how much risk is that? If you're getting in at $1, selling at $2, you're having to sell your last sell level at double the price you're getting out of it. It's ridiculous, and it's actually very, very risky. I would much rather sell in the same example, okay, pulling across to this is kind of like my reasoning. I would much rather sell, if this was $2 in the same sense, I would much rather sell at $2.10, $2.20, and then maybe even a third level at $2.30. You wouldn't really want more than 3 levels, generally speaking. And so, again, what would you much rather? Selling 65% of your portfolio at these levels, basically almost at that price. You can have as many sell levels as you want down here. You might even start selling at $1.10 for all I care, right? You can go as low as you want, but you'll have a majority sold above the intended sell target, your average price target, but it's much safer than this. Again, this might have 50% of your portfolio sold up here. This could even be 30% of your portfolio sold up here, but I'd much rather sell 65% here than try to sell any % over that, really. It's just so much more risk because you're thinking about a market. Markets move so sporadically and random that, I mean, you may never hit these sell levels. That's why we tend to follow a structure where, like a boat with an anchor, if we get in down here at a price of $1, we can begin getting more and more constricted the higher we go. Because again, we're pretty much saying, hey, if the price goes up, we don't want to have these big jumps. We want to be taking as much possible profit as we can on the way up, just in case the price ends up going, see you later, basically. Are you a huge fan of crypto and gaming and would love a world where the two could actually intersect to create a genuine, high-quality altcoin? Well, with partners like Alex Becker, Virtual Bacon, and insanely popular esports teams like Team Liquid, Ninjas in Pajamas, and Team BDS behind it, Xborg is an unreleased gaming altcoin you really don't want to be sleeping on. And before I forget as well, they've got ties to the popular Swiss crypto exchange Swissborg, hence of course their name. But Xborg is more than just a vomit of insanely impressive connections, because there's a reason why they've actually decided to be created to begin with. Xborg is planning to solve some pretty huge issues, not just in crypto-specific markets, but we're talking about real-world issues here. Built around their Xborg ID protocol, users will be able to create a universal, decentralized, and most importantly, sovereign profile that connects data from any game on or off the blockchain to be used by game developers building on the Xborg network. This is designed to optimize the gamer's experience with custom interactions, companions, chatbots, and with endless possibilities. I mean, seriously, you could even have a game unlock certain Easter eggs based on your level or prestige in an entirely other game. Not only this, their products offer an entire suite for developers to begin working from scratch, like a launchpad, newly designed SDK, and AI interfaces, and as well as much more. Maybe you're asking yourself though, why? Why is this all important? Well, it's because games these days are static, to put it simply. They're limited in personal interaction. I'm not talking about obviously what's happening to you in the game itself, but to you directly as the person behind the screen. Yes, it's going to get personal, guys, but I'd be lying if I said that the best was over. Xborg have successfully raised a total of $9 million to date and are expected to launch in the next 24 hours on crypto exchanges like Swissborg, Jupiter, and Uniswap. So make sure you check out the link and tweet down below for the details, and follow Xborg on Twitter to time that launch. And with that being said, let's get back to the video. So I hope you liked that fart impression. But nevertheless, it was definitely fake, not real. I want to show you an example here before we actually move into some practical stuff and just kind of explain to you what this looks like at a price level, right? So we might get in down here at $1. That's the anchor. That's our average buy price. We might take our initial investment, which is basically a level in which we take back all of the money we've put in. So we put $1,000 into this coin. We take it all back out at our initial investment level. If we decide to do this, as I will show you here in a second with the free material, we have to actually recalibrate our portfolio at this point. So if we have 1,000 tokens down here and we sell up here at $3, we might only have 666 tokens left over, and that is now our new portfolio. This sell level never actually happened, but I don't want to get into that just yet. That might confuse some of you guys. Needless to say, we can take our initial investment out. You don't have to do that. I personally don't. And then you can begin selling, right? So $15 might be one sell level here, then 20. So we jumped up, $5. Then we might start selling in $2.50 increments on the way up. And then we might go a bit more constrict to $1.50 and so on until you go above the line itself, in which we do very small, 50-cent increments. For an example, I mean, obviously coins are different. A small increment for the likes of Ethereum is going to be like maybe $50 or $100 jump. A small increment change for Hedera is about 2 cents. So it's all in comparison, but you kind of have to figure it out on the fly. And usually the way you do this is by going to CoinMarketCap and having a look at what pretty much the lowest traded sort of average price for that coin roughly is. So Hedera pretty much roughly traded around 4.5, 5 cents in the bear market. Chainlink was around $5 to $7. That way you can say a sort of average size jump for these coins is $5-ish and 5 cents respectively. In that sense, a small jump for these coins would pretty much be around maybe a half or a fifth of that. Because again, we're trying to figure out how much money is roughly required to move that coin at that level. And that's kind of how we do it. So with that all being said, I want to jump into some quick examples. But first of all, I do want to talk a little bit about actually where you need to be selling, right? So this is Hedera's chart as an example, okay? And how we kind of like to break things up here. When we talk about these price predictions and when to sell, like we've established, usually most of the time, if you're looking to get out of a coin at your sell level, you have to sell at some points beneath this mark and some points above, obviously in that same respect, tighter and more loosely, as I've just explained. But nevertheless, you do have to do that. And so when we're trying to find whether it's safe or not to actually sell at a given level, this is how we do it. So you hear many times in the crypto community, hey, price prediction. Price predictions, guys, I hate to break it to you, that, at least in my mind, is a price in which myself and other influencers may assume the price to peak to and then pretty much wick back down to, right? So it's not a price you actually really should look to sell at. We use the price prediction to locate the red zone and then the gray zone. The red zone is where you do not want to sell. This is likely in a liquid market where there is no buyers. Obviously, if you're trying to sell, you have to have someone buy your tokens, otherwise you can't sell. And in times of crypto high volatility at these points, even with Bitcoin, you likely will end up putting a sell order in and it'll take you way back down to levels you never actually thought you would end up having to sell at, because there's no liquidity. So we want to avoid this area. Obviously, we use the gray zone as no man's land, buffer area. Price can or might not go here. We don't want to take that chance though. So basically the top of the green zone is roughly speaking where we want to kind of end up. That's the last and highest sell level. And I get it, right? You're probably thinking to yourself, well, Kyron, what do we use to find this? Well, you take any, Bob, Mary, Jane's price prediction, of course. You come over here to, again, the 1 week courtesy exit sheet I'll leave available for you guys. I will make this available for a single one-time purchase very, very soon as well. You click over here to the exit level calculator, press this, the current price point, so you bought in at, so let's just say, for example's sake, it is $1. The price prediction you hear from Bob down the road is this coin's going to, let's just say $50, right? It's going to 50x from your price. Cool. You sound really, really excited about that. But actually, if we come in and have a look at these different zones, you begin to realize it's a bit of a different story. So the red zone, where you don't want to be, is $50 to $37.50. We're moving down 25%. Then an extra 10% from that top of the bottom of the red zone to $32.50, and then $32.50 becomes the top of the green zone. So really, you're looking at a 32.5x realistically. Again, the lower you sell, right? The lower you come down here and sell, the safer it is, because for all we know, price may only go up here. And it all depends on the price you got over there from Tom down the road. So just make sure the lower you go, the much safer it is, and you definitely don't want to be in the red or gray zone if you can help it. that is the rough idea of when you need to sell. Now let's talk a little bit about actually selling. But first, let me briefly mention what you have to offer in this 1 week courtesy sheet, which will use the other two tools now. You have the DCA and exit calculator. I'll make this sheet nice and blank for you all. Pretty much you put your sell levels, your buy levels in here, roughly speaking. That'll help you find and locate your average buy price. Many of you guys don't know what your average buy price is. That's very bad. You want to know where you've averaged in at so you know what price you need to get your multiples. If you don't know what your average buying price is, where do you know where to sell? Because you don't know how much money you need to make basically to achieve your goals. Then, of course, your average sell price is over here on the end, okay? So we work at the average at the bottom and average at the top. So we'll be using this sheet for you all today to give you the best example, and we'll pretty much be coming back to sort of this example over here later on, briefly anyway, because it will be confusing to some of you who are nice, fresh beginners, unfortunately. I will give you a very brief, basic example. We also do have the portfolio tracker. I've dumbed this down. This was a feature and is still a feature in a much more comprehensive way, as well as this sheet and this sheet in the bullrun cheat sheet I have available, of course, for my private community members. Level 1 and above has access to that. So this is a pretty much dumbed down version, but will give you everything you need and more. Trust me right now, okay? So basically, this is where you can store your crypto. You can track your portfolio for your exit levels. So all you have to do is input where the zones are marked red, which is only the amount of coins you own, average buy price, which again, we can locate over on here. If you just enter all this in, it'll tell you how many tokens you owned over here and your average buy price, okay? And then you can just simply go ahead and pick an exit level. So for us, for Near Protocol, let's say $20. Tells you your multiples, tells you the revenue, tells you the total profit and total revenue. And we have a very important feature, which you won't see anywhere else, unfortunately, which is your initial investment level. This tells you basically, if you enter this, you can mark it as 0, of course. If you mark it as 0, which means you just want to keep these levels, basically. If you actually change this at all, it's saying, hey, we want to take out our initial investment, right? So if I come back to over here, in this very messy example, we want to take out the money we put in. So this is a safe thing, but also it will dramatically reduce all of your revenue, okay, or your profit. So if we have this, let's say for Near Protocol, we want to get out at like $6, for example. So we average in at $2.60 over here. We're now getting our initial investment back at $6, which means we're taking back our $2,800. You can see here that we put in initially. And this pretty much means that we're selling 43% of our portfolio. So we're selling 471 tokens. And our new estimated ROI, so profit, will be 12,000. Where before our profit was 18,000. Okay, so we lose a good $6,000 by doing that, but that just means that you have a nice safe level. Of course, you can manipulate this. I would always tell people, roughly speaking, you want to look at about no more than 20% of your portfolio sold at your initial investment level. Of course, then the whole question comes up at, do you really want to have an initial investment level if you need to get out at $20 and being at $12? Like, is it important to have an initial investment level, which should be set quite low, extremely high, just for the sake of having it? You may as well get rid of that and ultimately make more money by just having, I guess, more frequent sell levels. If that just went over your head, if that made no sense whatsoever, listen to the rest of the video and it might start making more sense as we go into the example here. So what we're going to do is look at basically a portfolio of a coin here and going from a price of buying at $1 and having 10,000 tokens. If you guys wanted a detailed, breakdown of this, I've got it all in the private community. I know you guys on YouTube hate watching long videos. I get criticism all the time for having my videos over 20 minutes. So unfortunately, due to popular demand, I'm going to be quick here. I don't like to do it, but you guys hate me for it. So let them know down below if you want to see this broken down further, I guess. So basically, again, if we have the example here of, let's just say we had a whole bunch of buy levels, right? Let's say, for example, and I'll just do this for argument's sake. Let's say we decide to also buy at $1.20 and let's say $1, just punch a whole bunch of random numbers in. And we purchase a random bunch of tokens as well. I'll just show you to give you the example that this will calculate the average buy price you have with all of these levels and the amount of tokens you own, okay, with the total amount you've invested and the new total of tokens. But of course, let's pretend that you're someone like me who already tracks this, and just for argument's sake, you were going to try to work out your exit levels. So you just pretty much put in your average buy price anyway and the amount of tokens you totally own, whatever that is, and then you have 10,000 tokens, which is great. And so what we're going to firstly figure out is, okay, well, in this case, do we want to take our initial investment out, okay? Now, if you do want to take your initial investment out, the first thing you don't want to do is use your 10,000 tokens and begin finding your sell levels, because your initial investment level should always be reconfigured after you make that swap, okay? So what I'm sort of saying here is when you make those initial investment levels, like I showed you before, your portfolio needs to be reconstructed to reflect the new token amounts. So if you had 10,000 tokens now and you decide to have that initial investment level, like I can show you here, okay, 10,000 tokens, average buy price $1, and we want to sell our initial investment at, let's just say $3, we are actually selling 3,333 tokens, which means we have 6,666 left over. This now becomes our new portfolio size in which we use to actually sell at the lower levels, at the top side, basically, right? So it might make no sense to you. Trust me, reconfigure the portfolio after you sell your initial token amounts. You don't want to be using the initial token value to sell those high levels, essentially because the rest is all profit. Okay, it's all profit. So, okay, let's just assume that we're not going to sell initial investment level because we can get into a whole big can of worms with this. It's not going to be an easy example as well. We're going to be dealing with individual token amounts and random percentages, and it's not going to be fun for the average viewer to be able to kind of digest. So over here is kind of what you want to do, right? Obviously, I'm showing you this as an example. You can use this in a sheet yourself, but generally speaking, I like to do nice and even to begin with. So what I will always do when I'm doing my own sell levels is I will find 10 sell levels, okay, random sell levels, mind you, are beneath and above and on my sell target. So let's say my sell target here is $6 for whatever coin. Let's say it's render, $6 a render, right? And so that becomes, what I'll do is I'll roughly go, okay, what if we started selling at $4? So I've gone $2 under. Your brain might have went, oh, let's start at $3.50. It doesn't really matter. You just throw spaghetti at the wall. So I start at $4 and then do the higher jumps first. Remember what I said over here, right? The higher jumps first. So we go, again, we're not doing the initial investment level. So ignore this $3. We're starting up here at this level, essentially, right? And so we go $4, $4.50, $5. We're doing 50-cent increments. Then we jump to 25-cent increments. So we're getting tighter, 25, 25, 25. And we're not getting that much tighter. We're going to leave it at that. And we'll jump 25 cent more to the actual sell level. And then what I'll do is I'll go to $6.15, $6.30, and $6.45. So basically, we're jumping up like in the dollars up here. And yet over here, we only pretty much increase 45 cent more over $6. So this is much tighter, like in the example over here. Very, very tight. Down here in the blue, it's much, much more spread. But actually, if you work out how much we're selling, and again, I just threw spaghetti at the wall here, guys. I literally just initially went 1,000 tokens sold at each level. So I went 1,000 tokens, obviously, is a value of 10%, given the fact that we have 10,000 tokens. And I just put that all up evenly. And then I went to myself, okay, well, we are nowhere near the average sell price, right? The average sell price was like $5.50. And so what you want to do is pull out the tokens from the bottom side and add them to the top side. So I'll show an example here in a second, but just observe a rough example here. We're not even hitting our average target price of $6. We're like, 15 cents off. And you can see we're selling 30 plus 10 plus 10. We're selling 50% of our portfolio above the intended target. So just keep that in mind. So now what I'm going to do is just show you guys the example here of what you should do when you first actually get your exit levels established. Once you pick your prices, again, the prices do not matter as long as you make sure they're nice and tight on the top side and loosely on the bottom. Again, let's just find the average. Let's just find the nice middle ground, 10% at each level. Again, 10 levels, 10% at each is 100%. And the way that you find this is just simple maths, right? If you have 100,000 tokens, you go 100,000 divided by 10. If you have 123,473, you do 124,373 divided by 10. And that'll give you how many tokens you have to enter for each level to be 10%. And then what you want to do is go, okay, how far off the average sell price are we? Okay, well, we're at $5.50 right now. That's pretty far off. We have to hit $6. That's our target. That's why I've highlighted it green. So what you want to do is, again, shave off some on the bottom. Okay, so you can go like 250, 250. This is how many tokens you're selling, by the way. And then you might go, okay, so now we have an extra, 30% to play around with. Let's make this 4,000 tokens at the very, very top. You can see we've hit that target now. Okay, cool. So we hit that target. We're actually just over. However, we are selling 40, 50, 60% over. Now, 60% is fine to sell. That's actually okay. But you don't really want to go any more than 65. If you start going in the 70% range, it's probably a little bit too high on the top side. And you can also decide to go, okay, well, 60% is too high. We can remove some of these bottom sell levels because, let's face the facts, we're selling 2.5% of our portfolio at $4. What's $4 times 250? It's not much. We're not making much money at all. So you might decide to remove $4, and that'll free up a little bit more, okay? Because you'll not only have the extra percent you can add down here or up to the top side, all right? But you're also now reducing that anchor from holding you down. The lower the sell levels you go, the closer to the anchor, which is your average buy price, the more it weighs down your portfolio, the more it weighs it down. It's like you're selling so low and you're selling some of the, even if it's a fraction of the portfolio, it's going to hold you down. Like we just saw here, I mean, this increased by just getting rid of that level, not even actually reallocating that 2.5%. So if we go 4,250 tokens, we pretty much just gained an extra 6 cents worth of the average sell price, which might actually end up being, if you're dealing with lots of money, that actually could be like $1,000 or $2,000, right? Or more. So you kind of want to just work this out to yourself. It's gamification. Have fun with it. Play around with it. I usually end up with between 5 to about 8 sell levels myself. Usually I'll spread the 10 out. I'll usually drop the bottom 2 like that. And if I'm happy with $5, I might make this $4.75, for example. You can see still a 50-cent, jump there. And what I'll pretty much do is go, okay, well, so we're dealing with an extra 2.5% overall. So I might go, well, let's try to make this 500 because you don't want to sell. You don't want to add all to the top side, okay, because that's dangerous. So we're actually over right now. Let's make this 4,000. Okay, let's maybe make this 3,500 tokens sold here. And let's add some more down here. So let's make this one 500 and let's make this 750. You can see that's much better. We can still allocate. So let's go 1,000. And that's much better in my opinion. So we're pretty much on target and we have sold 100% of our portfolio. And I would much rather sell enough down here to at least claw back our initial investment before we even get to these levels up here. We can see that we're selling, 35, 45, 55%. That's a little bit safer than 60% of your portfolio above the line, and Bob's your uncle. Like, literally, I could be here all day talking about the nuanced details around all of this, but that's what you would actually take away and then plug in a CoinW. You would take that, go on a CoinW with my link down below and say, hey, CoinW, I want to set a sell level at here, 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 here. You just do a normal, sell trade on spot. You don't have to set up anything crazy and it'll execute for you at those levels with those amount of your tokens, okay? So make sure you just play around with it. The more you do it, the better you get. It's as simple as that. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed. And if you have, hit that like button and subscribe. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Take good care. Bye-bye.